I should,
We have
I
two.
have
We've all encountered it too.
Multiples.
We escaped.
Yeah, we killed a bunch of them.
I killed a few. Thank you.
That's a lot of the journal entries start out as like panicked therapy notes and writing and like entries, but as it gets further it becomes more and more drawings that talks about like the tail has a spike, their teeth are made of metal, where she is almost like slowly over the years she's been able to decipher out what she can remember about her escape from the Sevastopol station.
I would be willing to find a aftermarket additive or instructor to add a permanent kill switch.
Now,
So
I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page here. So we have a button that just.
More like I would have a button. If anything were to happen to my unit, that it would immediately kill switch and break the information. No longer would it be traceable, discoverable, or even remotely accessed, even after repairs.
Says, I am Aaron Percival, the colonial commander of the 4th Recon Battalion. I have spent quite a bit of time doing some research on lost colonies. The events of Hadley's Hope and the loss of the Sulco has not set well with my superiors. I decided that it was time for us to do what we say we do, which is keep the people of the frontier and the outer worlds safe. And we can't do that if Weyland-Yutani is making biological weapons. One of our colonial marine vessels had come across a piece of a ship. Upon further investigation, we realized that this is a lost Weyland-Yutani vessel, the USS Covenant. We sent out, after the recruiting party, a proper marine force to salvage the colonist, to bring them back. That was roughly a week ago, and we have heard no word from my men.
They're dead.
We're not entirely sure.
I am. Would you like my full and unbiased opinion, Commander Percival? If you'd like to save the people that you so care about, and you want to stick it to Weyland-Yutani, you will destroy that vessel before anyone sets foot upon it again.
This one, he swipes. Shows Ripley. He swipes again. The crew of the Covenant. The crew of the Nostramos. He keeps swiping, bringing up more and more of them, until he kind of goes all the way down the line, and he says, I believe it started somewhere here with Wayland's original mission.
Yeah.
And with this synth. And he slides and he pulls up an image of David. More. And maybe it's because Kitchens hasn't looked at himself very much. But maybe all of you turn to see that Kitchens is a David model.
Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of Alien Emanation. And yes, the overlay is different. Yes, we have a new cast member. Deal with it. That being said,
look at her.
If you like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is by clicking on that Patreon link and then pledging down below. And while you're down there, hit that Discord button, join us in the community, be a part of the conversation. And as always, in the bottom right-hand corner, you will see the corruption bar. That bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, Dot gets to kill us. And two, every single dollar that goes into that bar goes back to these wonderful, amazing faces that you see here before you. I think that's it. Dot, take us into space.
Okay. Hey friends. It's true. We have a new person here.
Hello.
Tonight.
Hello, new person.
Tracy, say hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Tracy is showing us how cool she actually is with all this bitch and cosplay.
I know, right?
Actually, she just got out of work and just came and put the camera on.
Yeah.
She woke up this way.
Yeah. An actual Marine. Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's do this thing. Y'all, Mike, once again, took my thunder, and did a before,
really good recap.
or last week on,
But
a really great
cool,
recap.
though.
So why would I, are you saying my recaps aren't cool, Mike?
I'm just saying mine was
Okay.
also cool in addition to.
Okay, so I see what's happening here. So much fucking shade. All right, so last week on doesn't really matter because Mike's cooler than Dotno. So
I
big
mean, your
big
words,
news
not mine.
is big news is that the crew finally made it to the United Americas and to the man who pulled their files that started this whole like roundabout shindig of meeting Ace and finding out that they are not really wanted, that they were actually kind of just marked from record. And he proposed them a mission in which they clearly have zero interest in. I can't imagine why, because it seems that a portion of the Covenant has resurfaced, part of the ship a few weeks back, and Wayland Yutani doesn't know. And the United Americas wanted to keep it that way because on board the piece of the vessel were people, some of the people that were lost from the colony. And the United Americas, being not Wayland Yutani, decided that saving those people was important. So they sent a crew of Marines back out to this vessel to do that, to salvage all of these people in cryosleep and bring them back to a place where maybe they could try to stabilize them, maybe they could save them and figure out what actually happened on the Covenant all those many years ago. Well, guess what? They weren't interested at all, especially when they found out that the Covenant just happened to be the ship David absconded with, which they know. But he sweetened the pot by letting them know that he has a personal stake in this matter. His daughter was leading the team, and she is one that he believes is still alive, even though they've had no contact with him, only a distress beacon returned. But we are not going to open up on board this space station for the United Americas, where the crew is debating whether or not it is even worth it to go out there and do this thing. We are going to cut back 2 weeks to a colonial marine vessel who is like pulling up alongside a large chunk of a ship. On either end, the ship is very clearly open. It has like broken off, like it's like if you took the center of the Titanic out. And you can see like small pieces of debris and things still float out from it because it's empty and open into space. And the marine vessel pulls up and begins its procedures of sealing this off so that they can make it airtight. We hear the captain come over comms, and he simply says, Commander Quill, we've arrived. And Commander Quill, you sit amongst your team, which is about, we'll say 6 commandos plus yourself, so 7 in total. And you have 4 people who are here to help you with the process of loading and unloading people. They are not soldiers. They are freighter hands, basically. And they all look directly at you. Now, do us all a favor and tell us what Sophie looks like. Any special things we need to know about Sophie. And tonight's question is, what do you expect to find aboard this ship?
Okay. So Sophie Quill, she's pretty tall. I'd say she's about 5'8" and built very well. She's a colonial marine and she's been training for many, many years now. She enlisted when she was young. Her family, it runs in the family is what I'll say. And that this is what she's been doing her whole life. And she has kind of short brunette hair. It's cut just above the shoulders. So whatever is kind of loose out of her her helmet is kind of tied back. And she usually looks pretty confident in herself. One of the significant things about her signature item is that she has a tattoo, which you probably wouldn't be able to see it just, with all of her gear on, but on her arm, she has a tattoo of a feather on her arm. And she also carries cigarettes with her, but she basically only has like 1 pack. So it's very precious to her. So those are kind of her 2 signature items. But yeah, so that's
Okay.
what she looks like. And what I expect to find aboard the ship is exactly what I was sent out here to, is to find a bunch of people, a bunch of people sleeping.
Yep.
That's basically all I know. And I'm just hoping to find them and rescue them. So yeah, that's what I hope to find on this ship.
Well, you were debriefed, of course, on this matter. The estimation after the scan is that there are roughly about 180 or so pods left on this vessel, with people that are in them alive.
Okay, got it.
Other than that, there were no other life forms on this vessel. As you can probably imagine, it is venting into space. Basically, it's open on both sides. And the wrecking crew, the like 4 people that very clearly run all the machinery and stuff that you've got here. There's like one of those really cool cage things where you like pick stuff up. The freighter, you know, the one Ripley uses to like beat the mama. Yeah. It's like one of those. You brought one of those with you because you got a lot of stuff to lug. Yeah, there's some like they're like hover carts basically that you can like pull. They sit the way an air hockey table does. Like they give just enough air where it doesn't quite touch the ground, so you don't need wheels. So there's some equipment, and those 4 don't even look to you for orders. They begin the process of like prepping all of that.
Okay.
But in addition, they're here because they are in charge of sealing off the chunk of the Covenant so that all of you can go inside. It will take you far too long to try to do this in open space. So they begin kind of doing things, and the rest of your team looks to you for orders or words, right? They are your team.
I like to think we were all kind of, well, I guess, I don't know how ready we were to be here at this moment, but we were probably like lounging. Sophie was probably like, just like taking out her pack of cigarettes and putting it away. And she looks to everybody and is like, well, I guess we're here. Let's suit up, shall we?
They stand. Now, I have to know, this is your team. Who is your favorite on your team? Okay, this is how we're going to play these NPCs. Who's your favorite?
Oh boy. Probably, I would assume that there's probably another woman with me.
Okay.
And
for Bub, her name is Jolene.
Okay, perfect. Jolene. Good, because I'm bad at names.
Her name is Jolene.
I like the just muted cursory.
She's a redhead.
Okay.
Yeah. She's like a kind of a fiery redheaded type.
Yes.
And
she's my right hand.
Yeah, she's your right hand. I'm gonna give her a little extra oomph. She's clearly a badass. She's had quite a few teeth knocked out, which she has replaced with metal.
Oh hell yeah!
And not gold, but like with metal alien. Caps and toothing. Like yeah. She's slowly shifting. But yeah, she's got like some metal teeth and things, which make her look pretty gnarly, in fact. And she's the first on her feet. You hear her kind of cock the pistol, or the rifle actually is what it is, in her hand, and she slings that one over her back. The rest of the team follows her. Now, who is your least favorite and why?
Probably some like stuck up dude who's like, I picture him having like, you know, like the guy, I just finished watching Prometheus, the guy in Prometheus who's kind of like an asshole at the beginning, who doesn't really want to be there.
Yes.
Like he's just like super like combative, and it's like, dude, we're just trying to do our jobs. And so he's like the asshole guy.
He's not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah. I'm like, why did?
Yeah, I'm not even supposed to. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy's definitely rough around the edges. He's got a jowl full of like dip or spit of some kind, and he shoots out the corner of his mouth, and you can hear it with such vigor it pings on the metal and splatters everywhere. One of the other people on your team stepped back, just missing his boots. He kind of licks his teeth and he says, "You know, I'm a really good Marine, and we're here, what, to salvage? I'm not a salvage crew."
Well, we have a job to do regardless of if you think you're good at it or not, or if what you want to do. So if we get this done quickly, you can head back and that'll be that. Okay?
Aye, aye. captain.
Can his name be
He kind of
Chad?
says. He is such a Chad. Actually,
no.
yeah. What's a good? What's the
I was
space
thinking
version
either
of Chad?
Chad
What's
Oh, okay.
space
or
Chad?
like
Or
Bork or
Chaz.
something.
Blake.
Chaz.
Blake.
Chaz with a Z is the space version
Chaz.
of Chad.
Chaz. Oh my
Chaz.
God.
In the future, Chaz is the evolved version of Chad.
Perfect.
I just want to
I'm
say
writing
that
it down.
you are the nicest Marine I've ever met in my life. All right, team.
All
let's
right,
go.
team,
We're gonna
let's
head
go.
out there onto the ship. It's
I
gonna
did
be.
say my original idea was to play like a very like preppy Marine.
It's gonna be a
I'm going
sick
to play
day,
into that.
guys.
I love it.
See
Let's
me,
go, guys.
the Animal Crossing character with the Doom Marine's body.
Oh, God.
I love that a lot. So, Chaz is like really kind of undermining in a way, which you're probably used to by now, but he's like, aye, captain. And he gets up and begins like loading and checking and doing the same thing as everybody else.
I give Jolene the eyes like, oh God, like, like we know we both can't stand him. So
Jolene simply words. She's been waiting for you just to give the order for her to kill him. Now, can I do it now? And she kind of, all of this is going on behind his back as he's like, oh, I imagine he's like Paul Walker's character in what's that movie where he plays the teenager, but he's not really a teenager, and he has to pick all the stuff up off the lunchroom floor, and he's like,
10 things I hate about you.
no. It's
Fast and
no,
Furious?
Yeah.
no, not Paul Walker. What's his name?
That's,
It doesn't matter.
yeah.
Anyways, it really doesn't matter. He is being a douche
I
and a
have
half.
the visual picture in my head. Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, and he's like slamming stuff, and the rest of the team is watching him. He often drops morale, but today he seems particularly pissed that he's here doing this mission and that he doesn't really get to shoot anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you hear the door kind of to your right in this vessel comes down, which is like a seal door. You know that the crew is now going out to seal this off, and you hear the captain or the ship's captain come on and simply say, Commander Quill, they are beginning to seal off the Covenant. We should be ready in T-minus 20 minutes.
Sounds good.
And if there's nothing else to be said, that time will pass pretty quickly. All of you are still going to want to suit up and probably mask to start just in case things go bad and so forth and so on. And so you suit up, and eventually that same door opens up again and the crew comes back and they tell you that they have officially sealed and capped off the end. They will need to now create a fake door, basically, like a new hole into it, and add the artificial gravity and the some kind of modulator that'll maybe help with the oxygen to stabilize things.
Okay.
And so you hear the commander go, everybody buckle up, or the captain go, everybody buckle up. We'll be coming in contact with the Covenant in 10, 9, 8, and kind of counts down. And 3, 2, and on 1, you can just hear the metal like, as he is backed, you're right up next to it. It's just super, super close. And the team goes, all right, here we go. And they go over and begin like, right, cutting open this hole. And they seal it off and they do the thing and they make an actual door, an airtight door into the space that they have already created. And one of them kicks it in with a heavy like boot. And this metal piece, it doesn't drop yet because there's no gravity. It kind of floats off and into the Covenant. On the inside of the Covenant, it is very, very dark.
All right, flashlights. Get our guns, weapons out with the yep.
Everybody starts like click, 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 click.
Yep.
One of your team probably is like your tech radio type person, so he starts running. Like you hear the bloop, bloop, right, of his proximity. He turns on some kind of heat sensor. Like y'all are here to like recognize, this is what you do, right? And you start like scanning bodies, and he says, it's true, Commander, from what I can tell, there's about 182 people still alive in those capsules in there. Seems that this piece of the ship may be running on some kind of backup generator or a cycled piece of energy. I don't know. He's got big bulging like goggles that he wears. His eyes look like twice the size as they should. It, of course, is going to be Jolene that's like, might as well not stand on ceremony. And she's like first in the into the hole.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll look to the other two in my crew and be like, we should all head in and check it out first.
Flashlights are all on. If they don't have them on the guns themselves, right, they'll have them on some kind of headpiece. And these beams of light cut through just like empty darkness. And as they do, the lights begin to pan across the faces of the people. You have entered directly into the portion of the vessel where, like clothes on hangers, these pods just hang one after another, after another, after another, after another. Some of the like hooks that they hang on are missing the pods, so there are some missing pods maybe from the crash originally. There are a few pods still hanging that have frozen bodies in them where the glass was cracked or compromised in some way and those people died. Right, whatever travesty. But the rest of them, you see, if they are working in working condition, there's just a small screen on them, right? And it's like showing their vital signs and the colored dots and things like that. And you can see them just kind of down in 2 rows, lots and lots and lots of them. The wrecking crew or the freighter crew comes in behind you and you hear one of them like magnetize something like to the side of the steel. It makes a pretty loud noise in this empty like hull of a space. And he simply says, hang on to your boots, gravity incoming. Something like clicks on and everything in here is going to go into gravity. So I'm going to have you make your first roll, Tracy, because you're basically dropping out of midair.
Makes sense.
So right. Let's get like shake out a first roll. So grab your character sheet. And in this case, I obviously this is going to be some kind of agility based roll or like body roll. Body roll.
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah, I'll take an agility, probably mobility.
Mobility. Yeah. Okay. Let me roll.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that's just one.
Hey.
That's right. Or that's a success.
Nice.
Because
that's all. That's all.
Yeah,
that's
all
a
you need.
success. Mhm.
Yeah.
So in this game, you only need the one, right?
Yep.
So in this case, success. You got it. And your feet hit very firmly to the ground. Just for shits and giggles, I'll roll a few for the rest of the team.
I was like, all right, I look good. Let's see if the rest of the crew.
Okay. Jolene also lands next to you. Part of your crew never actually entered this space, so they don't have to drop. Let's just again for shits and giggles for your favorite. Okay. Chaz. Surprisingly enough, both Jolene and Chaz both land solid feet next to you. And they kind of look around, start taking things in. The bodies are now, about eye height. They hang just above your head. But there's no sign of any people, obviously, outside of these. To your right, you can see the door that clearly goes into the next section of the ship, like the archway that stands open. And it clearly goes into the capsule pods for what should have been the crew.
Mm.
And then it kind of keeps going, which tells you this is a pretty long portion of this ship, right? Or this chunk of the ship. But then, way down at the end, if you could see it, you'd see the caps where they closed it all off.
Okay. We should do a full scan of this ship regardless. So
Got it, Commander?
Yep. I'll head down the way where the crew is supposed to be.
Okay. You kind of walk farther in, your boots now heavy against metal. It's super duper dark. Your radio tech or your tech guy, your comm tech guy, says, it'll take me a second, Commander, but I'll get a scan of the vessel. And you can hear his tech kind of clicking away. The other two that are here with you stay inside of this room as backup, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you go into the, this is fun. When you go into the, where the crew stasis pods are, there is nobody in them. They are all empty. You can see at the end of this room, there's a hallway that there's another door that goes left that seems to probably go into just like the next section of the vessel. This room ends and it just hangs a hard left. And it takes you out and around the corner. But in here, you can see, there is still some power running through the ship. So you might be able to get a reading on who was in these last. But all in all, there are no bodies left in these. They are empty.
They're empty.
Where the crew is or why, you don't know.
Okay. I'll just make I'll send a note back. There's looks like I'm in the crew quarters, but no crew to be seen. I'll keep looking.
He He goes, still scanning, Commander, but from what I can tell, it looks like this section of the ship includes part of the hold for what was supposed to be the colonist, the cryo chambers for the crew, and possibly the med bay up and around the corner. I'm not entirely sure.
All right. Well, I'll keep looking. Maybe head toward the med bay.
And do you give any command to the two with you, or do you just bring Chaz and Jolene with you?
I would bring them with me. I would
Great.
ask them to come
Yeah.
on.
So you give them that hand signal.
Yep.
They nod and follow. And as you start kind of looking around and pacing, there definitely was a crew on here, because what do you notice? I'm trying to think through. What do you notice here? Okay. Very interesting. One of the cruise pods, I have to remember back, one of the cruise pods is burned up on the inside. It's like
Okay.
completely burned up on the inside, as if there was a major malfunction on that one specifically versus all the rest of them. The rest of them stand open or are empty, but you can see that there were definitely a crew here, because some of them left like pictures, right?
Right.
Like shoved in the side, or like personal effects next to the bunk itself. Even though those would kind of have drafted into space, but you can see that this had a crew very clearly. Where they are now, you do not know.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any signs of like how recent like these could have been empty, or does it look like they've just kind of like, does it look like they've vanished weirdly, or does it look like they've got out of the pod and they kind of
Well, you would have been briefed that this vessel, the Covenant, was lost like 100 years ago. Or like 80 years ago. So it's been missing a long time. I think it's like 100 years, which is so weird, which is why it's so of great interest, right? That it has like a part of it has reappeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because nobody has seen the ship of the Covenant or any of the 2,000 colonists that were supposed to leave for 100 years. It just never made it to its destination. It was just gone.
Okay.
As for, which means that like, maybe there was no crew left, or maybe something you genuinely have no idea. Now you might have your comm deck. If you don't have comm tech, maybe run some data or analytics on these pods to see if you can find anything else. But you also know that this space was not airtight, so they could be elsewhere. You just aren't exactly sure.
Yeah, I think Quill probably wouldn't think too much into it. She would just kind of notice that and just be like, okay, weird, and kind of move along and see what she can find.
Great. Yeah, they follow behind you, all of your feet. The three of you, hold a triangle pattern. Your feet are perfect. As you round the corner, they check both directions. And your flashlight pings on glass. The glass to the medical bay, which you can kind of vaguely see, but this has been in space for a while. So there's like cold right around the glass itself, which tells you maybe the other side was not venting to space. Like maybe it's still airtight because there's no cracking. The glass is still there and the door is sealed shut. It currently is sealed shut. But you can't quite see through the glass thanks to all the frosting and stuff on it from the cold.
Okay. I'll kind of like tap on it with like the end of my weapon a little bit and just like notice this.
Yeah.
I'll look back to the other two and say, do you see any way to open this?
He goes, that's not my job. She goes, what is your damn job? And the two of them kind of give each other like hard side eye. You hear your comm tech come back on and go, Captain, I finished the scan of the vessel. It seems that the only place that was completely airtight was probably the medical bay. The rest of this ship is just, or the rest of what's left is just pieces at this point.
So when you're saying like the only one that was airtight, like the rest of this is empty of people, or didn't we scan for people?
From what I can tell. He kind of nods. Yeah, it looks like the life signs that we found were the people that are alive in the pods.
Okay.
But from what I can tell, nobody inside the medical bay.
All right.
He goes, give me 1 second. I might be able to just tap in and take over control since it's not actually connected to Mother anymore.
Yeah, that would be good if we could see.
And he does. It takes a minute, you know, there's like a hard silence, the creaking and eking of a vessel that's barely, or the piece of a vessel that's barely holding itself together. You know, the eeriness of what happened here and emptiness. And eventually he comes back over and he says, all right, Captain, door should be opening in 3, 2, and the, right. And it has to like crack the ice. Actually, you can hear the like of the ice as the door hydraulics pull it open. Inside the medical bay, it's actually rather dark. The backup power doesn't really light this area very well. There's like floor runners, right? But I'm going to need you to take some stress.
Okay.
Because as the door swings open, what you see is a oy vey, all of the like computer pieces, right? You see like the slab where medical stuff would have been done, right? All of that kind of stuff, all the stuff from the ceiling that would have been there. But against the back wall, the main computer set here in the medical bay has been augmented or connected to what looks like a synthetic, the upper half of a synthetic. The upper torso of this synthetic sits completely like not moving, head kind of draped down. His chest cavity has been pulled open. He's used like some kind of tools to like wrench the breastplate open. Hands kind of lay flat, but you can see the cables from all of the computers like jammed into bits and pieces, like through his ears, up a nostril, down his throat. And so what's left of this synthetic seems to be directly connected, or was directly connected, to the mother computer.
What the hell? I like look back to him, I'm like, and I put my gun up and I walk slowly toward this thing.
Yeah, you know what? I think your friend is gonna have to make a panic, like actually, I don't think he's gonna make it. The door opens, this thing shows itself, and he lets off, he goes, whoa, da, 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 right? He like fires off 2 rounds, and it like bing, bing, bings off in the medical facility. The blue light from it, kind of lights the space up, and you can really see the body, the face of this synthetic for the first time. It's definitely not functional. There's zero question about its functionality. Yeah.
I look to Chaz. What the hell?
He goes, I'm just supposed to shoot. He goes, it scared me.
Shoot what? That was incredibly dangerous.
Sorry, I just...
Maybe you should go back.
Go back?
Why don't you sweep the rest of the ship? We'll take a look at this.
Copy, he says, with kind of a bit of an attitude. And he eyeballs Jolene and he kind of walks off. She goes, I never understood what his problem is.
I don't know either. Look, like, do any of us want to be doing this? Not really, but it's a job. Why do we have to freaking drag our feet with everything? God.
She looks at you and she goes, you know, I don't want to ever take his side, but what the hell is that, Captain?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've never seen anything like this before. It looks like it's not alive, whatever it is. I mean, there's parts all over it.
She looks at you and
just
steps into the room first.
Okay.
And she's like, you can see she goes around, like long way around the medical table and begins to poke it with her gun, and kind of like plucks the body. You can see it's still a little squishy, like, because you know their insides were meant to replicate humans, but it was actually just like cables and bits and plastic and stuff, and you can see it's still there, and it doesn't react, right? She kind of tips the head with the gun and it like rolls to the side, but the body itself does not move. The computer system probably shut down when this part of the ship went into some kind of like backup power mode.
Mm-hmm. I just kind of look. I'm like, yeah, it's dead. It's dead. What was in this thing that they plugged it in like this?
She goes, I don't know. I don't even know. And she says, oh, look at this. And she begins like, you can see, because this was airtight, there are like papers scattered around and like research and stuff. And she begins like picking up sheets and passing them to you. And as she does, there's a lot of weird stuff, like hand drawings of things. This seems to be somebody's research. There's like DNA type research happening here. Clearly some kind of like, well, actually, I don't know if you can roll this. You can roll a medical aid if you want to try to know more. If you
Okay.
can't, you can just roll a flat empathy to see if you can. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, empathy. That's medical aid.
Yes. How do I roll just empathy?
That's a good question. You may just have to roll. I think if
'Cause I
you,
have
can you
no
just hit
medical
medical? I think if you still hit medical
I
aid,
think,
it'll
yeah,
roll.
there's no specialty
okay.
skills in this one.
Perfect. Okay, so 2 successes. As you're reading through this, you very quickly realize this seems to be some kind of research on like cloning and DNA splicing of some kind. All of the paperwork talks about 2 specific test subjects, neither of which you currently see, a man and a woman. They're not named. It's test subject A and test subject B. And there seems to be, aside from the medical research, there seems to be notes on a plan. You think it's a plan. It's more like journal entries about logging specific locations. There's like a list of locations, or you don't know why there's a list of locations, but there is. Most of these seem like now these are small space stations. Some of these space stations aren't even functional anymore because they're like so old. Some of them are, you can tell just by the name that they're actually vessels, like these are ships. Again, you don't know how old, you just have a list, and maybe some systems. You can see like some systems, but the notes don't quite come together as well as the medical notes do. But there seem to be these kind of random plans of some kind, marking like dates and times and location. Date, time, location, date, time, location.
Yeah, I feel like Sophie reads over all this and she's just like, this is well above my pay grade, whatever this is. We need to report this back to the commander. Take everything you can find.
She goes, all right. And she begins like scooping up all the papers, trying to stack them in some way. She looks around to see if maybe there's something in here that she can put them in. And she finds a small crate maybe, or like one of those, it's not even a suitcase really. It's like what you might put syringes or something in. She rips the foam out. Yeah. And she like starts dropping stuff in. And because we have hit a corruption bar and you've not been here to enjoy a single corruption bar yet.
Dear.
As the 2 of you like she gathers the case and she says, all right, I got what I need. She says, I'll see if I can't get, and she clicks her helmet and the helmet takes a few photos of the whatever this is, this situation. And the 2 of you leave. The door, of course, to the med bay kind of stays open because it's not really, it has to be manually power circuited to turn off. And then you hear something. The sound of like it goes like pink, and there's like a pinging sound. And over the intercom, you hear your comm-tech guy go, Commander, I think we have a serious problem.
What's going on?
I think there's a leak in the seal. And he goes, I didn't stutter, Captain. And Chaz rounds the corner, sticks his head around, and he goes, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Get back to the ship now. And I just like...
Another ping happens. Yeah, he turns, another ping happens. This is for you, chat. Like a steel bolt where they had like bolted things down and tried to like weld seal this, shoots out from pressure and tinks through his helmet, through his skull, and out the other side. His body goes limp and falls to the floor. And then you hear it, the cracking of steel, and the whole piece rips off, opening the ship up into space. What do you do?
I am going to immediately try to find somewhere that we can get like cover so we don't like fly, because I assume we could probably freaking fly out in this moment.
Stuff starts just like,
yeah,
it's like sucking out and venting into space.
you can see that what was left of some heavy crates begin like sliding, right? Anything that wasn't tied down in the medical bay, like any leftover papers, scalpels, anything that was in the medical bay that wasn't attached to something begins kind of shooting past the two of you, right? Because it's being sucked past you. You hear one of your crew go, "Rah!" One of them out the other end. So now you're down to, actually, you know what? Because it'll be fun. That was your Comtech guy.
Oh,
there goes Comtech guy. Also the limp body of old Chaz, like drags across the ground before like sucking up a marble into like the end of it just like his dead body right out into space.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna I'm gonna look to Jolene and like I'm gonna try to grab her and like move back. Yeah.
Into the medical bay?
Yeah, into the med bay.
She also, like, she grabs a hand and she grabs your hand because she knows the two of you are about to be sucked out into space. You do have a helmet on, which is a good thing, so you're not suffocating at the moment. So I'm gonna have you make, let's start with the agility check, right? Or the mobility to like grab it, to grab something. I'm gonna let you add a +1 die to this because she's helping you, right? And she's no small feat in terms of like a person.
Do I need any more stress or do I just have the one stress or just not to ask?
Right now, well, you know what? This did just vent into space. You could take a second stress.
Okay.
For unexpected space venting.
Yeah.
I'll give you that much.
Okay.
And then you can take a roll.
Okay.
Oh yes, this
dear.
is what I wanted.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Oh dear.
You did get a success, but you rolled
on the stress die.
On the stress die. So you're gonna roll what's known as a panic roll. On your character sheet, it says roll buttons there at the top right under your name.
Yes.
There should be one that says panic. If you click that, it'll just roll your panic die. And then we're gonna see on the panic table what goes down for you. This will be our first panic roll of the season, y'all.
Oh boy.
That's true.
It's the first one of the season. Okay,
Oh,
good
dear.
to know. A 1 through 6, you are keeping it together. You managed to
Nice.
keep your
All right.
nerves
I
in check.
Just barely
but-
keeping it together.
Barely
That's a
keeping it
6.
together. Barely keeping it together. You can hear she's like, and both of you are like trying to pull your bodies against the like suction around the med bay door. Okay. The both of you managed to do that and get around the corner. She is like, both of you are now basically pinned to a wall, right? Because it's trying to suck you around the corner. And I am gonna have you make a stamina roll.
Okay.
To make sure that you can stay there. Again, you and her are hanging on to each other, so take a +1 because she's helping you in some
Got
way.
it. Come on.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. So
God.
you
So many dice too.
you could push it. If you push, you're gonna take another stress, and then you could re-roll.
I'm gonna push it.
Okay, push it.
This is oof. All right. Do I still get the +1 to the reroll or just a regular?
You sure do. You sure do.
Come on.
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay. It's a success. It's
right.
just one. That's all you need. You and
All
her are
right.
both pinned there, and it is trying to pull you. But between you and her, you are able to like hang on. You can hear the rest of your team screaming. Commander! Ah! Ah! Eh! Right? And they're like death on the other end of it, right? One of them is like, no, not into space. And you can still hear him on comms as his body flies out into space, right? And
My whole
it's
crew.
your whole crew. The only person left is the captain of your ship. And the captain comes on and he goes, Commander?
And I just like, who's that? Where is everybody? I just like, in just my panic and screaming, I'm just like, we need help.
There's a big pregnant pause on the other side of the line. The ship captain goes, oops, I can't hear you, Captain. It's I can't hear you. Oh no. And you hear the ship undock.
Oh, he's just gonna leave us.
Did he just go through a space tunnel?
The reception's really bad. I can't hear you.
It's like we're in space.
Like, Captain, and I'm just like yelling at like through the comms, like as loud as I can, like, we need help.
Yeah, he's it's how about this? It's radio silent, and all you can hear is
And I
Jolene
just-
going, "What a dickhead."
Yeah, I was like, well, he just left us.
She
What
goes,
the hell? We need to try to close this door.
She nods in understanding because it is still like everything is venting. Now the metal table is beginning to pry up from the floor. You can see it's beginning to like pop those bolts
God.
free. And she says, "Oh," and she reaches down her side. She pulls out a blade, like a nice big, like commando style, and she reaches out and just stabs the like door control.
Okay.
Right? Just stabs the door control and the door shut. Immediately, the both of you can feel the pressure that was on your chest pressing you against this wall releases. It ends. Outside, on the other hand, is still open and empty into space. And the two of you are left in a moment of silence. We see you and her and the camera. You both still have your weapons and your gear. And behind you, over your shoulder, is this eerie image of this, the upper half of a synth directly connected into these computers here in the med bay and Mother in some strange, almost like Lovecraftian way. It's disgusting. And though the head doesn't see you or doesn't look at you, it is just you, him, her, and this suitcase full of information.
Sophie just like leaning against the wall, I feel like kind of slumping down, trying to catch her breath after this. Just like looks and then eventually like takes off her helmet and just looks at this thing. Shit. What do we do now?
I don't know. We don't have anything. We don't have food or a radio or nothing. I don't know how we're gonna even get a distress signal out.
Stuck out here. I don't know either.
She goes, you think we could try reroute all that backup power into that computer right there?
We could give it a shot. It's the only thing we got right now.
She goes, well, we're only going to have a few days based on maybe the oxygen we could find. You know, she kind of, this is a medical base, so there might be some oxygen tanks here. You would have the one that's like on your suit, right? Because you still had like a helmet. And she goes, and what we got in here, I don't know.
Yeah, let's see if we can reroute this thing, or at least do some more digging around, see what supplies we got.
Yeah.
What we can do for survival for the next few days, I guess.
She goes, all right. She's gonna roll for survival, just to see how much stuff she can recover. She doesn't find anything of great note. You could roll as well if you'd like.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Okay. I don't find anything either.
So
we're gonna die out here.
Yep.
We're gonna die out here.
Things you find. So you can like see her knife still sticks out of the like box next to the door, and there are some sparks of like power. And she says, let's see, I found she kind of pulls out like two shots, which are usually like pain shots. You know, that they'd give you if they might try to put you under or something like that. So she pulls out two of those. I found this. She finds a single oxygen tank, a big one, but a single one. She finds anything that wasn't strapped down. So like all the drawers are mostly empty now. The scalpels. Thanks, Mike. Corruption bar number 2, but we'll save that one for a little bit later. I got plans. I'm gonna simmer on that one. Look, chat. I gave you the death of Chaz. Okay.
Yeah.
He was clearly my favorite character. So, and she goes, let me see what I can't do. And she kind of walks over to the computer, and you can tell she's hesitant to touch anything. everything is connected to this body that is like pinned to the wall. And she kind of looks up at it, just really hoping its head doesn't move. Like as long as it doesn't move, she'll be okay. And she has to like kind of remove some of the like cabling, which you don't know if it comes out of the body or if it's part of the computer, right? She like wipes down like tries to wipe off the screen, which is covered in like a little bit of frost, and some kind of like, well, I wouldn't say it's sticky anymore. It's like a film layer of something that was like dripping down on the screen. And she hits a few buttons. You can hear her like click, click, click. It doesn't quite turn on, but she's going to roll a Comtech, which she's actually not too bad at. I did build Marines before this. Hey, okay, she got a single success. That's good. It takes her a second. She's like clicking and nothing really turns on. And then she sees the computer at the end that still has a light blinking. And she goes, that one. And she goes over and she takes her fist and she just like clicks it on the head, right? Yes. Corruption bar number 3. Thank you, Chad. She fonzes it, right? She totally like hits it like the top of a jukebox and the screen like clicks on. Yeah. And that like bleeping green thing, and she types in a couple commands, and that system and all of the computers turn on. The screens all like pop up in here in the med bay. One of them is just like a small dialysis machine and other stuff, but it seems that she's managed to reroute the power, which is all she was trying to do. She goes, bad news is I kind of stabbed the door.
Yes.
So that ain't gonna open with just a power, reroute.
That's fine, because not like we can go out there anyway. What's the good news, if there is?
I guess that's true. Well, I rerouted the power, and we can try to get out some kind of distress signal. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that, but I could try.
Do whatever you can.
She goes, all right. And it's going to take her some time. She kind of clicks away for a while and tries to figure out a way, because she needs a signal that's strong enough, a way to ping it. And after about 10 or 15 minutes, she goes, well, I did what I could.
Thank you, Jolene.
She goes, you got it. Well, since, we're just kind of waiting here to die, you want to play some cards?
Yeah, that sounds good, actually.
She finally sets her gun down, like actually like takes it off her body for the very first time.
Same for Sophie. She'll finally take it off too and kind of ungear for a second and just like sit on the floor and just
she does the same thing, and the two of you maybe play some cards. Right. Play some cards. And she goes, well, I have managed to do this much. Maybe I can win a round or two. She goes, plus we got to celebrate because Chaz is a dead motherfucker.
I know. That's the one good thing that came out of all of this. Now let's hope we can get out too. I hope that signal worked. Thanks, Jolene.
She goes, yeah. And she starts dealing cards. And the two of you pick them up and try to begin playing. Our camera will cut away from this leftover disruption of this ship back to a very clean vessel. This military, this colonial marine station where all of you have been given your orders. You've been left and you've been told that they will help you specifically in any way that they can. But the most important thing is that you rescue whoever's left from this rescue mission, the original rescue mission. And we see our 4 people, 3 people and a Kitchens, who is only partially a synth, I believe. Now, each of you, for Tracy's sake, I know Tracy's been catching up, but very quick, tell us who you are, and all of you have to answer the question. What do you think you're going to find on this ship? What does your character think they're going to find on this ship?
I'll
Mike, you
start.
have to go. Oh, okay, great. Zach, you can go. I was gonna make Mike go first because
Okay.
he's Mike.
So just like what we look like at
Yeah,
generally
real
who
quick.
we are, and then okay.
Yep.
Vince, a freshly 18-year-old kid who has been kind of training with all of the other adults in his life, learning some combat skills from Rin, how to be a roughneck and operate machinery from the old character Ben / Jake. And then, of course, gallivanting along with Barden and Kitchens. So Vince is here, and he hopes to find on the Covenant knowledge that will take Wayland Yutani down. And he also wants to save people if he can. But yeah. that's just
Priorities,
it.
you know.
Yeah, but yeah. Take down a corporation, save people. I think this one. Yeah.
What about old Ren Blackburn?
So Rin is a veteran as well. Definitely seen a lot of combat. She's got a pretty gnarly scar on her face on the right side that kind of goes down. It's healed over at this point for the most part, but shows a little bit of her battle worn. She does have, at this point, some kind of unkempt red hair. It's got grays in it at this point in her life. Probably more due to the fact that she's been in the military for so long. She's got these aviators that are kind of damaged and cracked at this point. She salvaged what she could from them. She's carried them around for as long as the crew currently knows and has seen her. And maybe some people from her past would recognize them if they saw her and are still alive. She's a proper, like, heavy Southern woman. Says some really ridiculous things and likes her whiskey. So, yep. I guess my answer is going to be aliens, aliens, and aliens.
Bryn, I'm guessing you're not hoping, you're just expecting.
No, she's totally expecting the worst, which is
The worst.
what she has come to know as anything that had to come from Wayland Yutani.
Right. And what about Kitchens?
Kitchens is a real boy, despite what Mother thinks. Rude ass. He is a synth, and he is constantly on the struggle to determine what makes life, like actually, like what does it mean to be alive. So he's trying to figure that out, and he is traveling along with his quirky compatriots here. It's been a lot of fun thus far, and he's constantly learning. What does he hope to find while he's here?
Constantly. Oh yeah. I just, in terms of his looks or whatever, what did he find out last week?
That he's handsome, and that all other models
Very
just like him are
handsome.
very handsome.
He looks like Tape of Pass Spender.
Yes, very much so. What does he hope to find while he's here? He hopes to discover some more news on some of the events that may have occurred between the Covenant and the dates of 2090 with the Prometheus. Maybe anything that he can on the Prometheus model. He's been feigning a disinterest and a lack thereof desire to go to this vessel because it might mean imminent death for those that are around him, but he actually does really want to go there because it means that he gets to learn more, and well, knowledge is incredibly valuable, especially in this time.
And last but certainly not least, our dear Barden.
Barden is he's a paunchy older gentleman in his vague 60s to 80s. You're not really sure. It all blends together at some point. He is a part-time xenogeologist, full-time xenobiologist, and part-time yoga instructor, depending on who you ask. Wink. And he's hoping to find friggin' aliens.
He's actually hoping to find aliens?
Yes, absolutely. He's a xenobiologist. How else are you going to study aliens if you don't find them?
I guess up close and personal is the best way, isn't it?
Yeah.
My question for all of you is, do you accept the mission? And do you go willingly?
You can start.
I think we did at the end of
Yeah.
this last session.
Yeah.
If I remember,
Rin kind of decided for everybody.
not
if I recall,
not really.
correct.
There's
I
faith.
think one of the caveats that we were considering was yes, we all sort of want to go for our own reasons, but
Mhm.
he wants to send us with the asshole mercenaries.
Yeah, and I
as
said
our-
it's on our terms.
For your
Similarly,
safety.
we were going to be getting geared. There were some
Yeah.
things that we hadn't asked for, and
Yes.
Mhm.
and that
So
was good
did
news.
the
Okay.
colonel or whatever I don't know his title, but did he agree to let us choose what we want? And if so, like what is within that? Like, can we choose
did.
who joins us? When
He is going to suggest you take the mercenaries because that was his suggestion. But if you don't want the mercenaries,
are there others to
don't-
choose from? Other
would
Marines
just
at
it would
the
just
station, or-
it would just be like basic Marines, right? Like they're specialized agents basically. He would just send you with a bunch of commandos.
Okay.
Well, my strategy here is to bring the mercenaries. They're more expendable than the commandos are, and let's be honest, obviously the commandos didn't do so hot last time, so.
I'm just worried about the mercenaries having I don't know. They might betray us.
Vince?
I don't know in what way.
Vince, I
What?
need her there, okay? I have my reasons.
I would.
You know, if you want her. No, you
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, you're
You're
right.
on the
you're
same
right.
train of thought. We on the same page here, okay? Reading the
Yeah.
same book and everything.
I was
okay?
just gonna say, if you want, you could just kill her right now, but you can't.
No,
'cause
no,
we're,
I cannot.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot.
So I just want to be clear here. We are making a personal request that the woman that came boarded our ship is going to be on the team, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
along
what
with,
he wants anyway.
Along with the others that she's got under her command.
Great,
I happen
yeah.
to know
So-
one of them, though.
that
so
sounds good to me.
That's good for us, hopefully.
Maybe, do we want to ask for like 3 more people on top of that?
I guess it would probably be prudent if we had like two
Yeah.
teams. I'll take
It's-
dipshit and them, and then y'all can
Yeah.
with Kitchens go in and take with the commandos if you're
Oh,
more
you know, it would be
comfortable
great.
with
Everyone that was part of her squad that came looking for us. Would be
Yeah,
great
they
to
go
have
with me.
All
Yeah.
in one group of.
Yeah, with me.
They should
Yeah.
travel as a group at all times.
I get it. Yeah,
perhaps
I
tethered.
keep my eye on them.
The rope.
A rope,
Okay.
I suppose so.
What if we had one like bodyguard for each of us on maybe on top of the mercenaries? Maybe the mercenaries, because how many of them
Alright.
were there? There were 3 mercenaries. The
Or
oh 4.
Cool. Okay, so
Okay.
they're 4. So it'll be a 5-man teams. How about that? With each of y'all, or do we need? I mean, how
Oh.
many people do we want? To
I mean, I don't think we need that many people. It just
Maybe
seems like a lot
maybe
of-
one mercenary
bodies.
and then one marine for each of us.
My concern is that it's a lot of blood to slip in.
I don't know. We can go with the mercenaries. I think we're going to go either way. I'm just concerned that they're going to go off on their own. They're not going to listen to us because we have this bad blood between us, you know?
That's why I will go with the mercenaries. Y'all will go with
Right,
the
yeah.
commandos.
Direct orders or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Is the captain nearby?
he would have given you all some space because you seem to still need to talk in
Yeah.
private. But he's nearby. Yes, he's
I think-
probably just outside chatting with the mercenaries.
Barden shouts, which is just slightly raising his voice. Excuse me, Commander, whatever your name is. Your arms and armory, is there incendiary devices? Do you have grenades that cause fire? Do you have flamethrowers? Do you have anything of that nature? We'd like to take all of it, as much as you have.
Is there a reason you need explosives? This is a retrieval mission of both the people and the
Yeah.
Marines there.
Is there a specific reason that you requested us to do this mission? That requires flamethrowers. As the
Yes.
wrong.
as
I
as
will-
the heretofore only survivors of these special occasions, I say, as a scientist, we need flamethrowers.
We have field experience, is what he's trying to say, where we found effective measures against potential threats that are in this vessel. Okay.
Which is flamethrowers.
Yeah, flamethrower. We want a controlled flame, essentially. We don't need grenades.
He says legally I cannot issue a military grade flamethrower, but I can
Legally,
issue
you're
it
supposed to kill us.
to them. He points to them.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
how about
issue to me.
you get Arden here some parts and pieces that can work with kitchens to maybe jerry rig a legal version of non-military grade flamethrower.
Why don't you tell me what time you're going to go to sleep? And then if you're missing parts in the morning, then, oh no, your quartermaster needs to be adjusted, perhaps in the brig or something.
So you're not against the idea of going with mercenaries?
No, I'm going to go with them. We need another team with commandos on them.
I'm just here for flame.
We figure since the ship is as large as it is based on the schematics, be effective to have two teams.
He nods. He says, so you're going to need more than the 4 mercenaries?
Ideally, yes.
Yeah, we're supposed to. How many colonists are left on this little section of the ship?
Air supply.
He says, we were hoping to move roughly 200 of them onto another vessel and bring them back to another place. He says the mercenaries will not be moving people. He says their job is very different. This time around, I've decided to send a freighter, a tug vessel that will pull it back to here so that none of you have to actually remove the bodies.
Extra tanks and the fueler would be great.
So
I think we should
what
do
exactly,
a threat assessment first.
What if I get
Yeah. Well, isn't that what we're doing? So are we going out with these mercenaries? Hey, Barden.
Yeah.
Can you think in your head?
I wasn't.
No.
No.
Sorry.
Go
ahead.
Just imagine 7 years of that as your teacher. Anyway, so you're sending us out to go get your daughter, right?
To rescue the rest of the commandos that are on board that vessel. He cuts you off before you can
Including your
say
daughter.
the word. He cuts you off before you can say the word daughter.
I say it again.
He doesn't
anyway.
want he steps in front of you and he says, I'm going to suggest that you view the brief that I gave you. Please. And he says it very quietly to you. He doesn't want them to know. It's very evident to you, Vince.
Oh. Are the mercenaries in the room?
Yes, they are standing right behind him. You are having this conversation in front of the 4 mercenaries and him.
Okay.
And he says, Commander Quill and her team are to be rescued by all of you. You are to assess the situation and then tell me. I think, Rin, that is a brilliant idea. We can send a tug after you have evaluated the problem.
Right. Okay. Well, let's get geared up because ain't no time to waste. And to be honest with you, I need to separate myself for a minute.
He nods. And he says, I can give you a place, all of you, to refresh yourselves. He said, I will assure that there are some explosives and military
just flames.
Commander Percival, if I may have an ask.
Of course.
While the
Thank you.
explosives and the flamethrowers are in fact effective, there are things that can ensure our success moving forward, such as acid neutralizer powders, anything that we may have that might be that simple.
Basic stuff.
Additionally,
acid.
Yes, I have reason to believe that there may be exposures to acid elements. That's dangerous even to my kind, as you might know.
He nods. He says, yeah, okay.
If there are additional agents on board that we may come into contact with, I think it might be valuable if we had access to magnetic nets. I know it is a harder ask, but with the hull being metal, I think that this might be valuable to us. It's the most non-lethal form.
So, just for my knowledge, Bub, these nets, what do you mean by that?
Essentially, it's
Metal nets?
it's sort of like you have basically like a net launcher, and its bullet points on the outside are magnetic,
right.
So it's to stick to a wall.
Oh, he says, I guess I'm a bit confused. All of you are asking for quite a lot of firepower. You're talking about needing nets, explosives, flamethrowers, things that I wouldn't even give most of the trained teams for the United Americas.
Yeah.
Yet none of you have actually told me.
Commander, I'm asking.
Except for Barden. Let him finish. He goes, except for Barden. What is actually going on and what you all expect to come across?
Perhaps we should have this in a private.
I gave you that opportunity.
No.
And was
you and I
very
have a private conversation, without your hired help.
He nods, and then he looks to Kitchens. Other things you request?
No, I simply asked what you might provide a pool boy, but in this case, if my asks are too much, then we can stick with the grenades and the flamethrowers.
He says, no, I'm just interested as to why you need all of this when this is simply you going to pick people up and assess the situation from a distance.
Why do we need Marines at all?
I feel
Because
like
I'd like for all of you to come back.
Come back from what? It's just a
From
simple
whatever it
wrecking
is you
machine.
all seem to fear so very, very much.
Then why not just tug it to begin with?
no, we're not tugging the damn ship. We're not doing that. Can we just, Octon, can you just take your people and just piss off somewhere?
Fine, there's some things that I need to check on the ship. I've said my piece. I've said everything that I need to. And this is interesting, but I'm not going to gain anything else here. If you'd like to continue to explain to Commander Percival of the 4th Battalion, I think that he might appreciate that. But I believe there's enough representation for us here.
So, my full understanding is you need flamethrowers, explosives, metal nets, and the 4 mercenaries.
I tell
And
you
acid
what,
neutralizer.
I went ahead and I made you a little something there, Captain P, whatever. And he rips out a piece of notebook paper and he folds it and walks over and puts it into the breast pocket of his uniform. And we'd like that all as soon as possible. Best of luck to you and your requisitions orders. Kitchens, I'm going to help you out with whatever.
He goes,
Science
mercenaries,
bullshit.
please escort the 3 of them to a private room. I'd like to talk with Rin. They are not to leave this vessel until we are done. If nobody objects, the 4 of them will escort you to just like a private room that has little boothy seats like around the side. It's like a waiting room, basically, like a holding like place. Leaving Rin to say your piece. You can go back into the conference room if you want, or wherever you'd like.
In that downtime, I want to start reviewing internally those extracted files from his
Oh yeah.
work UI.
Those are the ones that you put directly into you, right?
Yes.
That sounds so silly, Bob. Those are the ones you put directly into Kitchens. Okay. I still need a roll from you, even though you have the files. So you're not trying to hack anything, but I still need some kind of roll here to find whatever it is that you're looking for. You need to tell me what you're looking for.
I'm just reviewing since he had all of this information pulled up. Given that we were just sort of going over it, I want to make sure that I have access to it. So.
Oh, okay. You mean like the mission information specifically?
Yeah, the mission information, particularly whatever was available on his work UI.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, totally. That's definitely open and available. There's nothing behind a closed wall there. So, yeah, okay, we will come back to that. And I'll give you, we'll come back to that. So, the camera cuts over to Rin. The 2, you and Commander Percival stand in an empty room together.
Okay. You might want to sit for this. And I would actually recommend you breaking out that bottle of booze as well.
He laughs and gestures to the armor that he's wearing. And the piece of paper he holds because he has no pocket. And he says, sitting is difficult, if you know what I mean.
Okay. I'll do this at the table then. Like whatever highest table he has. If it's okay with you, you can tell me and we can mulligan this, but I would like to have taken one of the drawings from Ace's book with me.
Okay, I can...
Not the whole book, just one that's more clear on...
Yeah, like one image that's very clean and clear. Yeah, okay.
All right, I'm about to show you something that you're going to think is overactive imagination. And then I'm going to try my best to explain to you that I'm not crazy. And we'll go from there. Sound good?
He nods without saying a word. He's going to let you say your piece.
All right. So, Weyland-Yutani, we both know, been doing some biochemical warfare, that kind of deal. Technically no proof because the survivors just happen to die or mysteriously disappear. Well, as one of the few people who has witnessed unfortunate events due to Weyland-Yutani's indiscretions, and she slowly takes out of her pocket this piece of paper that's folded up and unfolds it and just puts her hand over the top as she places it on the table. Here is sample A of biochemical weapon. And she lifts her hand.
He like puts his finger down and slides the paper and looks. And you can see he's like, he does ponder it. He gives it like proper look. He's not being sassy or like disrespectful in any way. And his brow furrows as he looks at you and he says, this drawing of a strange creature?
Yes, I guess you could just call it an alien. A very dangerous and deadly one.
Okay. He kind of he actually removes the like helmet piece that he wears, right? It probably has like a face mask piece that's not on, and he like removes it and sets it down, and you can see his hair is kind of messy underneath. He's still a soldier, right? Like even though he's a commander, he's still a soldier. And he leans over the table and looks very intently at this thing, and he says, "So Weyland-Yutani is making a biological weapon. We were right on that front."
At least in there's some kind of way responsible for it. I don't know if they created it, found it, or what, but they're very much interested in it. They're studying it and they're transporting it. As somebody who was on a recovery team transporting one of these originated things, there's like, it's a whole thing. I'm happy to discuss it once we retrieve the team that is possibly on a vessel that is infested with these things. So
that's when he pauses and he goes, I'm sorry. Yeah. You mean the Covenant or what's left of it is infested with these? Are you sure?
I'm not sure, but I have a gut feeling. At least if they're not infested yet, they probably were transporting them. But it was what, over 100 years? I don't know how far this thing goes back.
He kind of like shakes his head. He goes, there was no report or anything of coming in contact with anyone. Just a distress signal saying that they needed to be rescued.
I mean,
strange.
Maybe they have, if they're lucky, they haven't encountered it. I pray to God.
And what makes you think they're on board the Covenant? This is a vessel that hasn't been around for 100 years. We've only had knowledge of Weyland-Yutani making a biological weapon for the last 20.
Yeah, so about that. So we were under ice, like literally under ice for like a good 10 solid years, where this thing was living and basically overran the colony that we got stranded at, destroyed everything and everyone. I honestly can't say I know how we escaped. We did, but that's not important. What is important is I know how to kill them. The team knows how to kill them. And if they are on that ship, we're probably your best shot of retrieving your team.
He nods and he says, I have no doubt about that. Because in fact, the colony that you all escaped from, everybody was said to have died. Flooding accident, they call it. Malfunction of the internal bridge.
Yeah, they can swim through water too, so that don't work.
His eye again like furrows up. He keeps seeming a smidge shocked by the information as you keep kind of delivering it. And he says, okay. You're telling me that the biological weapon is, in fact, a creature. One that caused an entire colony underwater to disappear. An entire colony ship 100 years ago to disappear. And you were transporting one of them?
A crate of eggs. So they're kind of like hatchlings, right? So there's an egg, and then inside the egg is like this thing that looks like a really ugly spider.
He kind of holds up his hands like, please, I do not need a xenomorph biology lesson. He might vomit. He's like, I believe you.
Okay.
I believe you.
All I'm trying to tell you is this is much, much bigger than you could possibly imagine. And the problem is Weyland-Yutani keeps burying everything and destroying all evidence of this information. So I think...
Wait a second. Your lost vessel was headed from Fionia 161.
Yeah, that's where we picked up the page.
He kind of stops as all of the links begin to like come together, and he goes, there wasn't an outbreak of cholera, was there?
Oh, no.
The ridiculous writings of the space beast.
All true.
I see.
Yeah. I know this is a lot. I apologize, but I figure, you know what? Nothing to lose here.
He kind of nods as he's like kind of mulling this over, and he says, I see now your team's agitation. I appreciate your honesty, and I'm going to hope that you are wrong.
I hope I am wrong too, believe me. However, if there is in fact no specimens on there, which cross our fingers, I would hope that if this has been around for as long as I think it's been around based on the information that we've gathered, then there might actually be proof in documentation from Weyland-Yutani on that ship. And I know our primary objective is to retrieve your team, and that is 100%. I'm all for it, saving human life. But if there's a chance that we can retrieve anything about this, I'm willing to risk my life to get it.
He stands up straight for the first time and passes the piece of paper back to you. He does not want that staying on this ship. And he says, I have risked quite a lot bringing all of you in. I can't give you real commandos. I can only give you the mercenaries. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And he says, but I will outfit them as best that I can. And he says, you all seem rather feisty. I imagine when push comes to shove, if you needed those flamethrowers, you could get them.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of nods because he has to do things by the book, right? He's trying to he's got to make it look right on the surface, and he says, I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Absolutely. If somebody were to take a early dinner break, for example, and forget some keys behind.
He nods. He says, precisely. He says, in addition, it has come to my attention that the commander or the leader of this mercenary group is unfit to do this job. It seems that in the
she's
wake
a royal
of...
bitch.
He says nothing, but he doesn't disagree with you. He says, it has come to my attention that in the wake of them seeking you out, they left a few dead bodies in their paths, which I am not okay with. I have removed her as leader of this group. Remind me again what the name of your friend is, Rin?
Enzo.
Enzo?
Yeah.
He goes, I have placed Enzo in charge of the team instead.
Oh, all right.
He is completely suited and significantly more grounded, I'd say. He has a lot more years under his belt, and he has served me well in the past for various missions. He goes, I know for whatever reason, all of you don't trust us. And he says, but at some point, you're going to have to trust someone. Because not all of us want to see Weyland-Yutani succeed.
Well, given the fact that I just told you the ramblings of a possible mad woman, I think the trust has been established.
He nods. He says, between us.
Right. It's a start.
He smiles, noting that that's probably true. And he says, I say that because I'm not here to screw all of you over. And he's like, I truly did bring you in because I believed that, and I was right. You all knew something that we didn't.
I believe you.
So, remind your team that we have the same enemy.
Don't worry, I will.
He says, I will do my best, and there will be a crate on board the ship. It'll be unmarked. You might want to open it up.
Sounds good.
He kind of nods and he says, I'm going to go put this request in for all the gear and supplies we need. We kind of left them all alone in a room together.
Yeah, let's hope
I imagine if they haven't killed each... Exactly. He laughs as you both say kill each other. And he says, it is a pleasure to meet you, Ren Blackburn. You served us well in the past. He goes, you served well in the past. And as quirky as your team is, you're all still here. So you must be doing something right.
Well,
and he stands up straight. He says, sometimes being lucky is better than being the best.
That's true.
And he salutes you. Whether or not you salute him back is up to you.
She does.
Great. And he'll leave the room first, giving you a second in peace as you join the rest of your crew. But the camera does cut and rewind a smidge because old Kitchens is sorting through all this data. And I want to see what Kitchens finds out. So, Kitchens, does it, do you have like something, how do you see all this information? It's like in your head, is it all like nobody sees?
It's sort of like a heads up display internal.
Okay, like an internal heads up display. Okay, so
Yeah.
cool. Nobody else sees it, but I imagine you can't really do anything else as you sort through this level of data, at least for a minute. You're gonna take a seat, and you begin the processing point. So you see, first things first, you see all your files. He did pull them. You can see that you've all been blacklisted. Your model number, the David model number, has been completely redacted off of your file, pretty much entirely. He pulled the notes that he could find on the colony that you all survived from, the underwater one, on the ice planet. You can see where it says that there was a malfunction in the bridge and the floodgates, and it didn't work, and everybody drowned based on an issue with the reactor. When it like went off the drill, it was a problem, it broke the bridge, and everybody drowned. That is what the public knows of that lost colony.
Okay.
Which is what he knows, because that's all the information he has. The mission, the first mission out, when the Covenant was found, you can see the like radio transmissions where they're like, we found something, sir. It seems to be a piece of another ship. The number, and then they radio back like, that serial number belongs to the lost ship of the Covenant. So you can kind of read the radio transmission back and forth, right? And you can see that that Marine crew was asked to get close and scan it, but not to actually enter the vessel in any way. They report back that they found on board, alive, roughly almost 200 people, or at least life signs, about 200, roughly 200 life signs, give or take. And that they seemed to be like in a row, which told them that they were kind of like cryopods. When that was reported, United Americas asked him to come back, and then that is when he began the plan. This was about just a little over 2 weeks ago. They shipped out a crew, a Marine crew, to go check this out. 7 bodies total, not including the captain of the pilot, I should say the pilot of the ship. The 4-man freighter crew that basically does all the heavy lifting, and
Right.
then the 7 Marines, because they were unsure what they'd find on board, or if people might need help, those kinds of things.
Okay.
Amongst the team was a medic, a comm tech expert, and then 4 the commander of the team, and then 3 additional kind of heavies, I guess you could say, like
Sure.
proper Marines.
Are there any locked files that I cannot access?
In this, no.
Nothing.
He was very open. Like he wanted you to have the information he has, so you knew what he knew and what he didn't know, right? So like from this information, there don't seem to be any locked files, just bits of redactedness that clearly Wayland Yutani has redacted, that he has tried to like give or take or pull here or there. You can find the log of the Covenant. So if you wanted to go through like you can see the full team of the Covenant that left. You can see the manifest of all 2,000 people that were on board, along with the inventory of the embryos that were on board as well.
Is there
and you can see,
is there a similar display desk here in this particular room?
No, not in this room. Literally, there's nothing in here but seating. This is just a
Okay,
holding
so it's just a
facility.
hold. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a hold. Was there something you wanted to run? Like, did you want to cross-reference something?
I wanted to make it to if I can get back to that room, I want to see if there's anything else that might be locked, so that I could either clone or access through contact purposes.
I would not suggest doing that on this ship. That it's a fast way to get all of you thrown in a brig permanently for the rest of your life, because you're trying to hack a military space station. I will be honest with you on that front. You're welcome to go find a computer and try. It could just get you in a lot of trouble, because this isn't just any old space station, basically. This is like a giant command vessel, like
Sure,
ship.
of course.
So I will leave that up to you. There is high risk. It's high risk.
But if he's left the if he I'm supposing that it's a matter of like a login to a terminal and he has files that are available to us. So I'm guessing that we have access to his remote information if we go back to that room.
So what he gave you was like a data stick of information. He like plugged it into a HUD. He pulled it out, put it into a HUD.
Gotcha.
So it's
Okay.
isolated data. You copy basically a data stick
Gotcha.
because
Okay.
he doesn't want anybody else knowing what he's doing because he's
Sure.
like illegally doing this too. So this is not going to be on or connected in any way to this vessel or their hard drive, I guess you could say, or their data. Plus, like some of this is still run by Mother, right? Because everything is run by Mother, and so he also is not as trusting as everybody else is. He's slowly figuring out some shit's going on, and he's trying to keep it on the DL.
Was the David unit aboard? I'm guessing it was aboard the. Do I have information on the Prometheus in this file?
Oh, interesting. Do you have information on the Prometheus in this file?
Since it's already discussing info on David. David was primarily part
on
of the Prometheus.
David. Yeah, I would say okay, not the Prometheus, but you would have information on David. You would know when the first model was made, right? This is also a lot of this is redacted, so you would know when the first model was made, that he and Wayland, the original David model, went out on a mission with Wayland in which he and his daughter died from and never returned, along with the entire ship of the Prometheus. Though there's not a lot of other information on the Prometheus, it was like a research project. They believed they had found something. Wayland spent his entire fortune to get out there under secrecy, basically. Nobody knew he had even left and gone. Everybody thought he was pretty much dead. And nobody returned, no information returned, and neither did the original David unit like model. From that, more Davids were created after Wayland turned into Wayland-Yutani, right? Once they merged.
Right.
The merger happened. They created more David models, and that model was used frequently for a while aboard multiple things. So you can imagine whatever this other David model was ended up aboard the Covenant because that was many years later. But there's not a whole lot in this isolated file on the Prometheus specifically.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that's fine for now then.
Yeah. Ren comes through the door because y'all have been in here for a while. Did the rest of you want to say anything, or do y'all just sit in tense silence with these four mercenaries that sit with you?
The entire time, Barden continues his rambling, as if Vince were listening at all, and as if he were talking to Kitchens about potential ways to make explosives and incendiary devices and how best deal with aliens, even though he gets no response from Kitchens at all, and Kitchens makes no indication that he's actually listening. Barden doesn't seem to notice.
He's probably just like looking right at you.
Yeah, but like scanning through other shit. Yeah.
Yes.
And like nodding at his own information in his head, and so Barden just assumes that he's nodding in agreement with whatever Barden is saying, which is fine for him, really.
At some point, after kind of swiping a finger across different things in the room and just exploring, Vince would sit down in front of Kitchens and say, "You found anything else interesting yet?"
I discovered that the previous model, David, was decommissioned, discontinued.
Previous model?
The first.
Of you?
Yes.
Oh, so you're rare or something?
I suppose that is a way to think of it, yes.
Hmm.
There were more made after the merger of Wayland to Yutani, from what I can immediately see.
That long ago?
Sometime, yes.
Is there something like special about the fact that you're this model and not, another?
I believe that with the first of many events, there are errors that may occur. And nothing is rarely decommissioned when discontinued unless they provided serious or severe faults.
How, they've already considered you for quite a while faulty or decommissioned or whatever the word was. And I always thought it wasn't necessarily because of your model. It was because you started doing drugs, right?
I have an interest in chemistry and biochemistry. I've always found it fascinating. I've always been eager to learn more and envious of what it is and it means to live, to see how natural chemicals can combine with the human narrative. Something that I can't do, Vince.
Kitchens. Point to note there. Well, Wayland Yutani doesn't really admit fault for anything at all, really. So if there's a decommission report, it would likely be buried beneath piles and piles of red tape and bullshit. So if you could figure out, not like if you could, if you were able to figure out why your model was originally decommissioned, that may provide some insight into your state of mind.
I suppose I have my own ideas and theories that might make us flawed. We are not like you. Though I am programmed to have the utmost empathy, of which I believe that most of you seem to lack a severe and incredulous amount of, I think that is part of what makes us flawed.
I don't know what that last bit meant there, but
yeah, but
no, you seem okay to me, Kitch.
What was your original assignment? Like, what's your first memory, Kitchens?
Part of what I'm doing today. I was more or less designed to be a memorial component to lab tech. That's why I'm so keen on and adept at mixing chemicals. It was my first and most profound nature.
And
I have
then
what
you ended up on some random drunk African pilot's ship.
Desta was great for many reasons. He was the first person to never see me as simply a synthetic and disposable.
Can I ask a question? How did you and Desta meet?
Desta had more or less acquired me because I was doing
Drugs.
no, not drugs. I started testing since I had this interest in the body. I started making additions to my own body, and I was seen as faulty. And they more or less wanted to see how I would react in a pacing event. It was more like it was like an experiment to see what it means to have a synth unit actually start having agency over their own body and autonomy.
So
and Desta just
how
sort of acquired me through
old
that.
is? Okay, that makes sense. How old is Kitchens? Because the David unit was discontinued almost 100 years ago.
Kitchens is about 84 years old, 85.
Okay. So this might have been a David model they didn't find and decommission or something like that in the midst of them like trying to seek them all out and get them off of, right? You think?
I think so, yeah.
Because I imagine there was like a purge, right? If you found a David model, purge it. It's why you're marked for death as is, because Wayland Yutani knows you're out there somewhere. That's very interesting. What is, I have to know this because this is important. What is your first memory? Is it your first activation, like being activated, turned on?
My first, I would say that my first active memory, are you asking like the very first memory that he has or the very first like profound memory that might like jar a state of happiness? Something that might be like, let's move that to
No, I mean like his actual first memory. Because if you're down, I got a big old corruption thing I can give you.
hit me with it. I'm here for it.
When Vince asks you when they ask you what your first memory is, maybe the one you go to is the most profound one, the most moving one, that moment where you augmented your first body, you tried your first drug, or Desta being so kind in taking you in when you might have been on the run or people were trying to kill you. But when you think about your first memory, like most people, it's probably pretty foggy and hazy. But your first memory is being activated. And maybe you've always told yourself you woke up looking in a mirror. But now you're wondering if that's true at all. Instead, maybe you woke up and you saw yourself. Another David model who sent you out into the world.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think Kitchens won't say that.
There's another corruption for all of
Yeah.
you.
Kitchens will respond with, my first active memory upon activation was memorizing the components to the make of the human construct.
Interesting.
We're all parts, after all.
You know, Kitchens, if we're bearing the proverbial soul here, I do have a question for you.
I might have one back.
Great. Usually, in my experience, since they go by the name of the model in which they are modeled after, unless they are given some kind of name, usually, in my experience, to hide the fact that they're a synth. Your name, in particular, is the name of a room in a house. How did you come about that name, if you don't mind me asking? Very curious.
I was an assistant lab tech. And I didn't know my name. I didn't have a name. I was simply always asked to do things, and I abided by them as such. It was only after I had gained a name that I decided to become more. I felt as if I became something else.
But why did they call you Kitchens?
He was a quirky scientist. And I was in, I guess, a proverbial kitchen, if you will. It was a lab. I was making and concocting things.
All right. Okay. I was just curious.
I mean,
Strange
we
name.
call you a scientist, though you dubbed yourself that. You have a PhD, as you've declared, that you gave yourself.
No, I have an actual PhD, Kitchens.
Do you?
Yeah.
I believe this.
In xenogeology. The study
Very
of
good.
rocks off of the terraformer. It's non-Earth based rocks. It's an actual doctorate degree.
I have a question,
Yeah.
then. For, well, all of you. I'm not alive. And though I'm in my own internal conflicts for what it means to be alive, and I'm trying to figure that out, at what point will you dispose of me? Because you will.
What do you mean, like when you die or whatever?
At what point will I be offered to be the first to be disposable?
I don't
Like,
think you're disposable. I think you're alive. You know, you just have different blood, and you have some abilities that are pretty weird, and better memory. But why would you say that?
Just having these realizations.
Well, you know, it's kind of your choice. Something that not a lot of
Oh,
us humans get.
Hey, Rin.
Hey, I just came in at a very serious moment, but I just want to point out the fact that while y'all are having a heart-to-heart, Kitchens, you get the luxury that most of us don't. And that's deciding when you're done.
Yeah, you can live forever.
I mean, I don't know if that's actually true because like technology.
Technically, that last bit is questionable.
Oh.
Most synths
A
are
long
designed
time,
with.
then.
Actually,
I'm past my shelf date, if it
Yeah.
makes
yeah.
any
Oh,
point whatsoever.
Most
My expiration
synths have
was due.
about seven years a lifetime.
So I don't know what makes me like any other synth. I don't know why I have been alive this long.
Maybe you're not like every other synth. Ever thought about that?
yeah.
Maybe so.
Well, I have known quite a few synths in my time, and I will say you are nothing like any of the ones I've ever worked with, which is a good thing.
Yeah. The synths back at the colony were kind of weird. A lot more distant. But, yeah.
Now, Kitchens, I would like to double down on what our friend Vince here said. I don't see any need or benefit to offering you up as a sacrificial lamb, so to speak. However, if you come to me and you say, X, I would like to volunteer to explode in a hail of gunfire and something that would be an awesome story and or something that we could paint on the side of the ship, perhaps, as a memoriam. I will not deny you that privilege, but that is of your own choice. I'm not going to volunteer you for any kind of crazy scheme.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I agree with the old man.
Thanks, kid.
I would say of all of us, to be honest, me or Barden are the most disposable, if you're going to use that word. You know, we don't really have a lot of skills.
I wouldn't put myself in that.
That's not true. I think we should just cut that part of the conversation short now. We don't really want to talk about.
Under her breath, the brooding woman you all so desperately hate when she says that goes, yeah, you're all disposable.
Yeah, you got that
because
right.
the Marines have been sitting here in the room listening to this whole conversation.
Well, thank you for sharing your opinion.
It's fine. It's fine. This is something natural I've come to understand. I believe that she feels to be scared. She feels inferior in the face of something likely triple her age.
Yeah, that's what my dad used to say.
Never aging.
There is some tension between the mercenaries, tension that wasn't there before. Ren, you know why. The rest of you probably well, if you are empathetic in any way, so probably Kitchens, you pick up that there's some tension between them. Without even needing a roll. Like, they're not on their feet, right? The three are kind of huddled to one side, and she is very much like isolated herself. She is all but fuming hot. She is very fucking upset about something. So more than likely she's ignored pretty much everything y'all have said. The other three seem to be listening pretty intently.
Yeah, Octana, don't you have like another garden to go and grow in somewhere? Not here. Maybe.
The door slides open. Grunt pulls in one of these like hover carts, like just in front of the door. It's loaded down with crates. And he goes, the captain just wanted me to tell you that we're loading your ship. We'll meet you down at the docks. I have all of your gear. And then he like moves past the door and it shuts.
The hell was that?
That was cute.
Bless his heart. Oh man.
He's very clearly just here to lug that cart. That is it.
Now, Vince, that guy was expendable.
Whoa, hold on now.
Oh my!
If anybody is expendable, it would be our lovely Octana over here.
I'm just saying.
She's one of those that blooms once and then
you're
just
above
dies.
That guy. You're above that guy. You got this is like a give yourself
learn something new every day.
Lorenzo stands. Renzo, what's his name? Enzo, not Lorenzo. Enzo stands. The other two mercenaries with him also stand. The three of them look to her. She should be standing. She makes a very bold statement by standing very, very slow. And he speaks for the first time for all of you. And he says, I don't mean to interrupt, but they will not keep the ship warm for us. We should get moving.
All right. Well, let's get.
Are there any... Have you guys been here long, mercenary guys? Like, at this station? Like, long enough to...
What does he look like, Ren, this man? Just so everybody quickly knows.
Enzo, he's actually... If we were talking like facial structure, he's very kind of like almost like a Roman, like very kind of chiseled, like really strong, almost like
and he's older,
intimidating
right?
facial features. Yeah,
and he's a little older. Okay.
Yeah.
Unlike her and pretty much everybody else, he doesn't have the same kind of demeanor where he's talking down to all of you. I'm so sorry, Zach. Please continue the second question you were going to ask, and then he will answer.
Oh, I was just going to ask if there's like was there anything good about the station that we should, I mean, these might be the last people we see. If there's like chocolate bars here, these might be the last chocolate bars that I ever eat, you know?
He laughs out loud. He says, you like chocolate?
I mean, candy, snacks, chips, anything, like any food that we're not going to have on that ship. You know what I mean? Do they have the good stuff? This is like a Earth, whatever, you know?
He crosses over to you. He doesn't lean down and he doesn't talk to you, but he does kind of lean in. And he says, trust me, I've worked on this base on and off for many years. Ain't nothing good here. He says,
Great.
but this. And he reaches into like his suit, like one of those like front pockets on his like vest piece he wears with all the straps and stuff. And he slides out a brand new unopened chocolate bar. And he passes it over to you. And he says, I also have a bit of a sweet tooth.
You
he
also
says,
have mind reading abilities. You've just been carrying a chocolate bar in your breast pocket, waiting for some 18-year-old kid to ask you for candy. Okay, but I take it anyway.
He goes, no. He's like, I was going to save it for myself, but I thought I'd not be selfish. Just a reassurance.
I'll split it with you.
He smiles and he says, all right. On the ship, I'll split it with you. He says, but trust me, we're all coming back if I have anything to say about it. And he cuts eyes back over to the woman. And then he cuts eyes to Rin when he says that.
See you on the ship.
Yeah, anybody with high empathy is gonna pick up some different kind of tension between the two of them. I guess that's yeah. There's a different kind of tension there. Kitchen's like a personal one.
He gets his notebook for reasons.
I knew it. And all of you kind of make your way down to the docks. The ship is there waiting on you. It is definitely a colonial marine vessel, well suited. This poor boy is like, ooh, and he's finishing pushing the last like of these crates like up the ramp and on board, and you can see he's like unloaded everything. There's not a whole lot of machinery on here. You're not getting the like forklifts or any of that kind of stuff. This is just like a transport vessel, basically. All of your seats are along a wall. You're gonna like strap in, and then there's some crates of like weapons and things like that are on board. You can see two of them now carry the flamethrower like packs right with them because you asked for them. One of the unnamed mercenaries is a pilot. They're not giving you a colonial marine pilot for this. Unless anybody has anything to say, you're gonna strap in and take off.
I think that Ren,
how I like my Saturday nights. Sorry.
Good chuckle there. Once everybody's on the ship, Ren will sit next to Enzo and basically brief him on the possible threat as far as not like she won't say alien because environment that they're in and all that, but she'll just be like, hey, you know, possible threat, moves pretty fast, has some issues here, so if you notice this, you know, like the thing about neutralizing acid, she doesn't necessarily say blood, but you know,
he nods and he very intently listens, like, you know, he's listening to you, and he never questions you. He doesn't interrupt you the whole time, and when you get done, there's a little bit of a pause, and he smiles a little bit, and he says, nice glasses.
Yeah, I got him from this dick way back when.
Clearly worn by a dick.
I'm not going to comment on that. There are children on this ship.
He goes, he leans over
Not
and
a child.
He goes, when has that ever stopped you? And it doesn't take you long. You don't have to go into hypersleep. It's about a 2 or 3 hour flight. The mercenary crew is hella quiet because they got some serious tension.
I have a question about the mercenary crew. Is that woman on board the ship?
You're all on board the ship, all 8 of you.
At every convenient moment, Barden will mention something about rank reduction or loss of power or something to that woman. Just in passing, he'll just say something like off the cuff at anytime he sees her, like he'll pass through like the kitchen area and just say something. Oh, it's David. You making something for the new commander? It's good. It's good for you. It's a good job. Like any kind of snide remark to comment on the fact that she lost position.
Yeah. Okay. Kitchens, you find what you are looking for. It is there. They are magnetized, the ends of it.
Kitchens, cool.
I want to test them.
Magnetic.
You kind of test them, right? So they're negative to each other so that the net doesn't like stick to itself, right? The 4 corners. try to push it together and you can't. So they're really, really strong. Do you shoot the net? Because
I
here's
want
the
to
thing,
shoot. I want to shoot the net at someone.
Barden
at an
volunteers.
actual person.
Yeah.
Okay,
Vince
I
and Barden
am-
volunteer at the
okay.
same time.
Perfect.
We're like-
I am not. I usually would have you make a roll because this is technically a gun you're using to shoot
Sure.
this thing, but none of them are moving.
Yeah,
Like they're not
yeah.
actually trying to fight you. So there's not. You just all you've got to do is hold it still. You can handle this.
Net me.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna put them
Okay.
together, and I'm gonna hit them both
you get them both.
Perfect.
Yeah.
same time.
This net drags the both of you back and pins you up to the wall. Magnetizes to the frame
hull.
itself.
Yeah.
The hull.
That
Yeah.
works. It works. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Now,
pretty good.
I need you to try to break free.
Yeah.
Struggle with everything
Oh
you have.
God.
All right, hold
Why
on.
Both
are
of
we
you roll
this
a
close,
stamina,
Barden?
Let me
I
get-
think.
Let me
Please.
get my arm up.
Your
and
leg.
look at
Move
this.
your leg. Stop.
Okay, listen, it's
What
not.
is he-
This
Yeah.
isn't twisted.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Is it survival, Doc?
What
Yeah,
do we need to
not
do?
a survival. This is gonna be a strength-based test. I will take a stamina
Stamina.
to break
Stamina.
free.
All right.
I panic, Dot.
I panic.
Okay. No.
Oh,
Vince
Zach panics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vince panics. Vince, I'm gonna have you
Too
Um,
close
Do a panic
to,
roll, right?
to
panic roll,
Barden's,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, a 3.
Trace.
You make it. You don't need because you only have 1 die, right?
Yep.
You
You're
roll.
freaking out.
And
You're freaking
which,
out.
if it's been, I think I even forget what that's from. I might not even have had that stress die. I think it was from.
I gave you all that stress die
Something.
because you
It was-
saw last time.
It was the first time
something.
we entered space in like 7 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's what
Um,
it was. Yeah. So.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
So
Vince, I need you to calm down. I need you to put one left hand down, right hand
Yeah.
up.
Your foot is
Listen,
on
I'll
my
move the,
shin.
I'll move the foots.
Can
Look,
you
you
just-
move
Oh my God!
simultaneous.
You are so
Jordan.
bony.
Okay, look.
How are you so bony?
you do manage to like get out of out the edge. You don't actually like pry it away from the wall, but you manage to like get out in some way. And you can see the magnet is kind of pulling and it's trying. Barden, you get like a leg and an arm out.
And the other one is
you
like
can
pushing
see-
off of Vince.
Pushing, yeah, you're like pushing Vince, trying to like get out.
My face
Um,
is up against the net.
Yeah,
As I'm
yeah.
screaming.
What would you like to do, Kitchens? Because I know this is an experiment for you. Barden is getting out, but he's not strong enough to
if I
actually
can
push
see
it from the
them
wall.
doing that, then I'm gonna reverse. I'm basically gonna move up and pull a little electricity out of it so it can depolarize slightly and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
let it release.
Great. That's actually on the gun, I would imagine. Like maybe it's
Yeah.
the gun. It's the gun, right? Because it's all attached to the gun. So you hit the depolarization button, and it like poof, and it drops all of you straight to the ground.
Grumple.
That's not great
Okay.
news. That's not great news. If you were able to move it, Barden, in your state, then
What is that?
let's say a space beast might be able to succeed in
I am
pulling this off the wall.
fairly flexible because of
Still
all the
bias a
yoga.
little bit.
Interestingly
Time.
enough, though, even if you manage, and I likely will not be firing this, if anyone else is able to strike the beast while they are mid-flight and it does not propel them to the wall, they have metal throughout their bodies.
That is true.
Yeah.
I do want to just remind you that they also have acid for their spit and blood, so I'm sure that would aid them in their ability to cut out of this.
I don't actually think they have acid for their spit, just blood.
One
That's
did
not something that I've been able to
drool,
test.
One did drool on a mine cart thing, like an elevator shaft that we were going on. It drooled on it, and its drool burned through the elevator shaft. So
No, it injured itself.
It was
Oh, is that what it
bit
did? It bit itself?
It,
I
it,
gotcha.
it bit itself. Yeah, it actually bled on it.
I
It, it,
gotcha.
it basically sacrificed itself to kill all of you.
That's
It
right.
kamikazed.
That's right. You're right.
I think we have to worry most about the blood.
Yeah.
But if I can enhance,
also the teeth,
The
and
strength of the
claws and
magnet.
tails.
we have an extreme chance of survival. But luckily, we have more than enough acid neutralizer here for these situations.
You know, we also have to worry about the speed, the general fact that they're incredibly stealthy, and numerous other possible situations that might be on board this ship. That's not just them. If them is there.
For what it's worth, they have zero interest in me. I lack the proper biometrics to draw their attention.
Oh, well,
Good for you.
that could be helpful as far as, being able to assist the team, maybe turning off or turning on something on the ship.
If I do not directly hinder them, I should not be a problem to them.
Okay. Maybe then you can get to rescuing that crew.
I do not find this incredibly futile, but I'm willing to hedge my bets. We'll see what happens.
Okay. That's all we can do, I guess. See what happens.
I'll probably spend whatever downtime there is just trying to enhance the magnet.
Sure. You can make a this is probably it's not Comtech.
You said
It's
it's
probably
a
heavy
gun, right? You said
yeah,
it's
it's
a
heavy
gun?
machinery, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Thoughts on what you might roll? I'm thinking.
You know
'cause
what?
it's
I've just got to increase the electrical output. So
Yeah.
maybe Barden can help me here. Barden, is it feasible that we could increase the electrical output, even if we have to put some sort of aftermarket part, something to enhance this, maybe a battery or something of that nature?
Oh,
You're not really supposed to, but you can.
I'm sure that we could take a few things apart and if I can blow an alien to pieces with a few pieces I found in a junk mine, I'm pretty sure I can make this gun work with the amount of shit we have on this ship.
Well, it's not exactly my field of expertise, but I'm willing to use some basic information here.
Yeah.
What would
Right.
we outside of mechanically? What heavy machinery is not exactly my area of expertise. That was more of a Ben thing.
Yeah, that was way more of a Ben thing. Yeah, this is hard. Because it's not combat, so you can't roll for combat.
I would like
I
to
would
argue
take a-
survival for Barden. I think survival is what he bullshitted you into when he made a bomb out of a propane tank and some copper tubing.
All right, okay. I'll give Barden that. Go ahead and quickly roll for it.
Oh, I've got high survival as well. If
3
I can aid.
successes.
Okay, that's plenty. Barden is like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to do this, and like cracks the side open. You see all the wires, and he like pulls a piece out, and he goes, this reroutes the blah blah, right? And it's just kind of like he removes the parts that are unnecessary that suppress the magnet, and then I imagine you just like put two wires together that no longer bypasses the power.
I would say, Kitchens, you see a surprisingly deft level of bubblegum science that happens here. That like you're watching and nothing should work that happens, and all of a sudden it's like, and it powers up like beyond the normal levels. What the fuck?
I'm gonna go through each gun and do exactly what he just did.
Yeah.
I don't know how many there are, but I imagine that there are at least 2 or 3.
And among like the rest of the flight, you try to go through with these net guns and increase the magnet hold of it. I guess we'll say. Y'all remind me of that if you have to use these, so that I don't forget, because I might. And we'll figure out a way to like change the mechanics or either make them more difficult to break free of if you decide to use them.
Okay.
But you work on this project as you finish like this travel trip, and eventually you hear the mercenary, that's your pilot, come over. This is probably the youngest of the group. He has not said a whole lot, and he simply says, we're in range. We are approaching what is left of the Covenant. And all of you can see it out the window. This, like I said, this like chunk of it that is left. You can see it actually has one end has been sealed. You can still see where they like sealed it off, but the other end is venting things into space. You can still see them like floating, right? Like the trail it's left behind of stuff, including fresh bodies of clearly the Marines. And
that's not a good sign.
the pilot comes over and he says, should I attempt to make contact and respond to the beacon?
Yeah.
Okay. And he says, will do. And you hear the comms internally cut off, and he begins that process. And our camera cuts to the inside of the Covenant, where Jolene and Sophie have been for roughly 3 days. You are mostly out of oxygen. Sophie is dying of malnutrition. Pretty much there was not enough water and those kinds of things. Both of you are struggling really, really hard. And you have very little energy left, and she kind of is leaning against a wall, and you can see she's kind of thumbing the deck of cards. And she says, well, you want to play some Go Fish?
Yeah, for the 30th time today, let's deal me in.
She goes, all right. And she kind of, much slower than the last time, begins dealing out cards. And she goes, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we ain't got a lot of oxygen left.
Yeah, I've calculated we're probably, this might be the last day.
She goes, I was thinking if they did get our distress signal and they were sending help, it's probably going to take them about 3 or 4 days all around to figure it out and get to us, and it seems like a waste for both of us to die before they get here. So I was thinking maybe tonight I would just take one of the shots and go to sleep.
Oh, no. We're not gonna risk that. We're really weak right now. I don't think that's a good idea. No.
She goes, I have to be honest with you, Captain. I don't know I can watch you die,
I can't watch you die either.
She's like, but if I just go to sleep, it'll be easy, and you can make it till somebody comes and gets us. We can't both die. We have to tell somebody what happened here, what all this is about. And she gestures to the computers that are still functioning and kind of running, right? The rerouted power has clearly made that available, but
Would I know if she puts herself to sleep? Could she die? Or
possible, more than likely, yes.
More,
she will
okay,
probably not wake up from the aesthetic. Like
that's
it's like
what I figured.
it's like what they give you to go into surgery. So yeah, she won't wake up from the shot more than likely. But
Yeah.
she also won't die in any kind of pain, like from starvation or hunger or any of that.
Jolene, we're gonna make it through this. They're gonna come and save us, and we're gonna be okay. You can't go to sleep on me now. I need you. We need another round to go fish. We need to keep. I need you here.
She goes, all right, you got a 4?
No, go fish.
She reaches over and she grabs a card and adds it to her hand, and she goes, damn it. And she goes, well, then if you ain't gonna let me do that, then I gotta tell you something else.
Yeah.
Just in case we die and all that. They say don't die with any regrets or any of that nonsense, right?
Right. Oh, I hate this kind of talk, but okay.
She goes, it is your turn.
Do you have any 6s?
Damn it. She pulls a
How
couple
many?
and hands them over.
Yeah,
3.
I got a match.
You got a match. Yeah. She had a whole bunch of them. She had 3 6s for the record. She handed you all 3.
Oh, bad omen.
And she says, well, Captain, I'm pretty sure I've been in love with you since the first time I saw you. And I feel like this might be a good time to tell you, though it might be a little late. I've never been real good with timing.
You waited till now to tell me this? I could
She
hit
says
you if I
it-
had the energy.
She goes, I'll do it for you if you want. She
It's
kind of
okay.
laughs and she goes, you got any aces?
I got 1.
She takes your ace and pairs it with her ace, and she lays it out and makes a pair. And she says, so, just in case before all this is said and done and we're like him, and she points to the very creepy synth that has been stapled to the wall watching you die for 3 days, that you've been watching for 3 days. And she goes, yeah. And she says, Captain, do I have
permission? what did we say? Permission granted? Yeah.
Yeah, she goes to lean over the deck
She
to
awkwardly
plant a kiss on you.
salutes.
She salutes back because like that's what she's supposed to do technically, and she's a good soldier, and she leans over to kiss you, and right before her lips touch yours, you hear the calm.
Oh, I thought you were gonna kill her.
This is rescue mission Niner. We are inbound. We have received your distress call. Is anybody there? I repeat, is anybody there?
I looked at her and like I smile, like her eyes light up for the first time, and she just gives her a big smooch.
Oh, yay!
And then heads over to the comms and tries to answer it.
And we see you click the button knowing that you are answering this crew back, the crew that has been sent to rescue you. But tonight's episode still has one corruption bar. One that we haven't quite dealt with yet or answered for yet. And so our camera pans out of the empty hole at the end that is drifting it, like dumping shit into space. We can see this marine vessel that is on its way, about to become close enough to be able to dock and hopefully rescue the two of you just in time. But our camera doesn't look at any of that. Instead, it floats out into open space and finds another ship, your original vessel, the one that was sent here with you on board to do the thing you were supposed to do. And as the camera actually enters the vessel to see the captain that abandoned you and the freighter crew that went with them, that is not what we find. Instead, we hear shouting and screaming, the sounds of men, terror, gunshots. And all we see is a tail, a massive one, come out of the ceiling, and a man runs down the hallway, and he's clearly headed for an escape pod, and he passes the tail, or he passes it, and the tail drops down and juts him through the back, poking basically out of his throat forward. He gurgles as the tail lifts him up off the ground, and we see an alien staring down at him. This is a lost ship. How it got on board, we don't know. Well, y'all don't know. But there is now another Xeno out there in the universe. Another piece of corruption for somebody else to find at a later date.
Oh my god.
Next week, we will hopefully get a daft rescue of our dear Sophie Quill. The team has arrived, and maybe some other drama to ensue, since there's some sense and some information in a little handy briefcase that you kind of helped and handled, and you got like 182 people to rescue or whatever skis. So y'all got stuff to do, but we can't do it till next week, y'all. We can't do it till next week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I have I have so many things for the after show, but I'm gonna hand it over to all of you. So let's do that thing we do where we outro and we'll go hit an after show.
Exciting. Speaking of the after show, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel and get access to that after show and all the other after shows for other stuff, Patreon, linked right down below. Join there, subscribe, get all the behind the scenes exclusives we have to offer. While you're down there, click on that Discord link, join us in the Discord, be a part of the community and a part of the conversation. But for now, let's go around, do our introductions, get the hell out of here, shoot that after show, and start our weekends. We'll start with our newest player at the table. Tracy, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Hello, everybody. I am Tracy, also known as Miss Magitech, and I'm really happy to be joining this crew for the rest of the season for Alien. I've played with all of these people before, so it's nice that it just kind of like fits right in. Like we jumped right into this, and
Yep.
it was
Easy
totally like natural. Like I don't know, it's a lot easier when you're playing with people that you're already comfortable with and aren't like total strangers. So I'm really happy to be playing with my friends again. But yeah, you can find me all over the internet as Miss Magitech. I play tabletop role-playing games kind of all over the place right now, and I also stream on my own channel. So feel free to follow me and check it out. So yeah, that's me.
Sweet. We'll go over to Bub, who I wasn't sure if you were yawning or pumping up them beefy muscles. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Why not both?
I was just stretching. That's all. Just sometimes you got to get a good flex in from time to time. Guys,
Yeah.
I'm
Where's
Bob.
the hot tub?
God damn you. I am Getting real sick of you shit, Barton. I do both things. You guys can find me all over the place. I've got stories to tell, voices to make loud, and I'm just out here doing my damn thing. Find me on Twitch, on Twitter, Discord. I'm all over the place, folks. That's what I do.
Hell yeah. Hell freaking yeah. Zach, same questions. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
Hello, I am Zach. I am on internet doing things, voices, playing child with weapons, and in alien movie RPG game thing, and on internet on Twitter at MiddayClay, and possibly other things? Question mark.
I want this
Thanks.
as a sound file.
Wow.
Meta, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
Hello, I'm Metamancer. This is where I'm at. That's it.
Perfect.
Peace.
Last but not least, Dot, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I'm a Dot. Little Red Dot online. You know what's up. Go find me. I'm over on Mike's channel playing a lot of stuff. Clearly, I'm a little not at my usual spot this week, so I appreciate everybody's transition as we didn't void this week and a bunch of other things because life's been nuts. So I should be back to my usual spot probably next week, and then maybe I'll have an even newer spot before the month is out. So just go follow my shit. You can find me over on Cobalt Press, and I do a swell little podcast with our very own Bub called Stitch of Fate. You should check it out if you like Bub and I. And if you don't, go fucking tell somebody you don't like and tell them to check it out.
Wow. Rude.
Or go watch it anyway, you heathens.
Or go watch it, yeah. Go listen to it anyway, you asshole. Yeah.
Put it on in the background. We just want the views. We don't even care if you like it. Just click on the show, let it run.
Yeah, just let it. Please download it. That's all I'm asking.
Just engage with us, please.
Just please.
Please.
That's what I be. That's who I be.
Perfect. Speaking of engagement, if you guys are watching this over on YouTube, just know that we do stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/unMadeGaming. So if you want to join us live, come on over, hang out, do the damn thing. But for now, we're going to get out of here. We're going to do our after show, which you guys can get on Patreon. So from all of us to you guys, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.